Raiders. Guys, I have been on many Raiders forums, groups, Discords. I've been on a couple Las Vegas Raiders podcasts as well. Apparently, they want me to jump on there and talk about their Raiders. I don't know why, but hey, it is what it is. And I got to start to thinking here about the Raiders moving forward. I've been dogging the Raiders all offseason. Well, let's just be honest. As a Chiefs fan, right there, I'm a Chiefs fan. Ooh, right. Red Kingdom. I've been dogging the Raiders a lot this offseason. But recently, guys, I got to thinking, maybe, just maybe, the Raiders are not so bad. Maybe, just maybe, the Raiders could potentially be a playoff team. Maybe, just maybe, we can turn around the hate. We can build off Christmas Day. We can build off of what they've done this offseason, and they can become a playoff team. So the answer of today's show, the segment title of today's show, are the Raiders potentially a playoff team? I want you guys to answer that in the comments below. Are the Raiders a playoff team? Let me give you some reason potentially why the Raiders could be a playoff team. Potentially. Gardner Minshew has been named the Las Vegas Raiders starting quarterback after the last preseason game. Gardner Minshew had a pretty good preseason. Well, let's just be honest. Gardner Minshew definitely outperformed AOC. Now, I think Gardner Minshew has the lowest ceiling of the quarterbacks, but he has the highest floor, right? You see what you get with Gardner Minshew. He is not going to wow you, but he's not going to disappoint you and put you in a bad position either. He's kind of just middle of the grain type of road quarterback. And that's exactly what the Las Vegas Raiders need. They do not need an up and down quarterback, potentially like AOC. Now, there are some good quarterbacks that have been released, right? Ian Book comes to mind. Zach Wilson comes to mind as well. Some really good fits potentially in Las Vegas. But right now, Gardner Minshew has been named the starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. Last season, Gardner Minshew did come in relief for the Indianapolis Colts after Anthony Richards went out with shoulder injury. Was it week 3 or week 4? He did throw for a career high of 3,305 yards last season, which was a career high, like I just said, with 15 touchdowns, but also threw 9 interceptions, which was a career high as well. He did finish with a QBR of 59.6, which was 13th in the NFL. So that is just behind Jalen Hurts at 60.1, Jared Goff at 60.3, and Tua at 60.8. So 13th ranked quarterback to finish the season in just, 14 games, right? Now, on the raw scale, he did finish 58 points, which puts him in the lower half of the NFL. The raw scale is a non-adjusted scale for the defense that was faced. So basically, when you face a good defense, your QBR goes up a little bit. If you play a bad defense, it kind of goes down a little bit. So that's exactly what the raw score is. So good thing about the Raiders this season, they did find their quarterback. It sounds like they're going to stick with Gardner Minshew all 17 games this season. Good things here, right? Now, last season, we got to keep talking about last season to build on this season. Last season, I heard you guys all talk. The Las Vegas Raiders are a top 10 defense for the last month of the season, or the last 2 months of the season. I've heard it. I watched it. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand when they played the Kansas City Chiefs. The Raiders sucked offensively against the Kansas City Chiefs. Their defense is what won them the game. Last season, the Raiders did finish 15th ranked defense last season, giving up 330 yards per game and giving up as well as 37 touchdowns. But this is the big stat you need to circle if you are a Las Vegas Raiders fan. If you are a Las Vegas Raiders fan, you need to understand this stat right here. They gave up scores on 40% of the drives that they defended last season. So when the Kansas City Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, whoever they played, got the ball, they had a 40% chance of scoring points on that particular drive. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but the only teams that were higher percentage-wise than them were the Bengals, Packers, Titans, Seahawks, and the Washington Commanders. So they had the 6th worst defense giving up points stat-wise, right? Now, this offseason, they did draft really, really well. I like what they did in the draft. They drafted Brock Bowers. They drafted Jackson Powers Johnson, the offensive lineman, right? They drafted Belmire Glaze as well. And like I said, they had an overall really, really good draft pick. Also this offseason, they picked up Kristen Wilkins from the Miami Dolphins and Alexander Madison to add depth in that running back room. They also released Jimmy G, Brian Hoyer, bad quarterbacks, get out of here. Released Hunter Renfro and Jerry Tilley as well. All good things here, right? All good things. All building off momentum from the last season. Got yourself a quarterback. The defense is up and coming. Had a really, really, really good draft. But this is where shit goes down here really quick for the Las Vegas Raiders. They do have a good team constructed. As much shit as I talk about the Las Vegas Raiders, they do have an overall good team constructed. Right? They have a good defense. The offense is okay. I think Gardner Minshew was a safe pick. And, you know, if you safely want to be in last place in the AFC West, you'll go with Gardner Minshew. But they have the 8th hardest schedule this season. 8th hardest schedule this NFL season. Based off the records from the 2023 NFL season. Now, I understand you take that with a grain of salt, whatever, right? But besides the AFC West, look at the teams they had to play. They had to play the Ravens, potentially a Super Bowl team. They had to play the Browns, a potential Super Bowl team. They had to play the Bengals, a potential Super Bowl team. They had to play the Miami Dolphins, a potential Super Bowl team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then like in the Saints, these are all playoff-bound teams, playoff potential teams, right? And then when you look at the rest of the schedule, I mean, and this is honestly being generous. The only chalk-up wins I could really see for them is 2 against the Chargers, the Panthers, two against the Broncos. Let's say they split with the Chiefs and they beat the Jaguars and the Falcons. That's still only 8 wins in the season, and that's being generous. That's being generous. So when I ask the question, are the Raiders a playoff team? They could be a playoff team if they played in the NFC. They could be a playoff team if they played in the NFC South. They could be a playoff team if they played in the NFC West. Hell, they could be a playoff team if they played in the AFC East. But the fact of the matter is they have a tough-ass schedule. The 8th hardest schedule per win percentage from 2023. Now, I understand you take that with a grain of salt. You do what you got to do. But when you play the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Browns, the Bengals, the Bucks, the Saints, the Steelers, hell, the Jaguars and the Falcons and the Saints, like, damn. And I'm being generous by you sweeping the Chargers, sweeping the Broncos, splitting with the Chiefs. That's 5-1 in your division. I don't see that happening whatsoever. And then beating the Jaguars, Falcons, and Panthers. Jim, John, Raiders fans, give me a reason to say that the Raiders could potentially be good. Everything that they have going for them, the defense, right? The addition of Christian Wilkins on the defensive side of the ball, the drafting of Brock Bowers, the picking up of Alexander Madison, the making Gardner Minshew your starting quarterback. Like, all those moves are positive. All those moves are safe moves. But the simple fact of the matter is, guys, the Raiders are not a playoff team. They are not. Their issue is they're in a tough-ass division. Their issue is they have a tough-ass schedule. Their issue is they're not in the NFC. That's basically what it comes down to, because to make the playoffs this year for the AFC, I think you have to have a minimum of 10 wins. And stretching on paper, I can only give you guys 8. And realistically, it's probably only 5. Like I said earlier, 4 to 5 wins is realistic. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be mean, but the facts are all there. The facts are all there. So what do you guys think? Can the Las Vegas Raiders be a playoff team? Give me a legitimate excuse to be able to put them into the playoffs. And then when you think of the AFC playoffs, locks right now, I think you have to have the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're winning the West. I had the Titans winning the South, had the Ravens winning the North, and the East, I believe I had the Miami Dolphins, but I think I'm going to switch to the Buffalo Bills now. So there's your 4. And then wild cards, you're probably going to have, let's say, the Browns, let's say the Colts, and let's say the Miami Dolphins. Like, who do you think the Raiders can knock out of that playoff picture right there? I just don't see it. Give me a reason. Give me a reason. John says, take your hats off and hand on your chest. Praise Allah, right? Jim says, you talking about the Raiders is like Kamala talking about yesterday's tomorrow, today could be again, or whatever. Jim, I'm not trying to dog your Raiders, man. I'm not trying to dog your Raiders. I want to talk about your Raiders. I want to be able to passively root for the Raiders. I'm looking for a reason, and I just don't see how I can potentially put them in the playoffs. I like the move of Gardner Minshew. I like the draft pick of Brock Bowers, as I don't think he will be exploding off this season or next season, but year 3, 4, 5, he could definitely be a top tight end in the NFL. Devontae Adams is on the last legs of his career. Let's just be honest, right? He doesn't even want to be in Las Vegas anymore. He wants to go to New York or San Francisco or wherever he wants to go. He doesn't want Gardner Minshew or Adrian O'Connell as his quarterback. He just doesn't want it. Give me a reason. John says they own the Chiefs. That's why. John thinks the Raiders are going to go to the playoffs because they own the Chiefs. They won one time in like 12 tries. It just happened to be a Christmas Day, a national televised game where the Chiefs were at the bottom of the barrel. The Chiefs were at the lowest point of their lives last season. Ryan says, with 2 backup quarterbacks fighting for the number 1 quarterback spot, nah. The Raiders are not a playoff team. Now, Ryan, you are correct. I like Gardner Minshew as a backup quarterback. It is 5 years of the NFL. He had a career year last year, playing 14 games and just threw for just over 3,000 yards. The reason is because he is a good backup quarterback. There's also a reason why he's like on his 4th team, right? He's been with the Jaguars. There's a team before that. Can't remember who it was, and then the Colts, and now the Raiders, right? There's a reason why he jumps from team to team to team, because he's just a good backup quarterback. He's not going to be your starter unless you're in Vegas. John's got to go back to work. See you, John. Take care. Talk to you right there. John is going poop on company time. You can join again. Facts. And our poop never hurt anybody. Adam Winterfield is in the chat. He says the Raiders will be at 7-10 at best. At best, says Adam, 7 or 10. And Adam, to be honest, I'm probably right there with you. It was a stretch to give them 8 games. I'm like, man, where can they get these games? Because a lot of their games that they could possibly win versus the Miami Dolphins, versus the Bengals, they're all road games, right? They're all the Ravens. They're all games on the road, and the Raiders just don't travel well, and they don't really have a home field advantage anyways, with the new Allegiant Stadium being like a tourist attraction, right? It's just, it is what it is. And Jim says we have had the Steelers number for years. This is a new Steelers team, though, Jim. This is a new Steelers team. This is a new Steelers regime. Yes, you still have Mike Tomlin and the owner, Arthur, what's his face? Arthur Blank's the Falcons coach or owner. I'm trying to think of who the Steelers owner is, but they still have Mike Tomlin. Yes, I get it, but Mike Tomlin seems to have turned a new leaf, right? They used to build within. Now they're reaching out. Patrick Queen, come on over here. Russell Wilson, come on over here. Justin Fields, come on over here. Brandon Ayuk, you're trying to get over here. I think it'll be a pretty good game, Steelers versus Raiders this season, to be honest. But if we give you that win, reaching here, throwing spaghetti at a wall, hopefully something sticks. That's still only 9 wins. I think you got to have 10 to get into the playoffs this season. I think you got to have 10. How many grains of salt must I take for one team? 37. 37 grains of salt. And Jim wants to try to bring some logic here. It says, we don't need Patrick Mahomes. We have an improved secondary. We have to look at the fact that you are guessing, not seeing. So your improved secondary, Jim, was based off of depth, right? Many people that think the Raiders are going to have a successful season they've been talking about the, quote, improved secondary. The, quote, improved secondary was based off of a lot of what ifs, right? What if, I believe his name's Tyreek something. Trying to look for it. It's Travion Moring, right? It was a lot of, can he project himself, right? Can the depth be there for the cornerbacks and the safeties? And watching what y'all did against the 49ers on Friday night, right? I was not impressed with any of the depth that you guys have there, right? Yes, you did have that one 81-yard interception, I believe it was against the number ones. We'll give you that. But the guy that made that interception just got cut by the Raiders. They said, too little, too late, my guy. The secondary is the biggest question mark, and you guys thought you had depth. But watching the 49ers game, watching inter-squad scrimmages and stuff like that, it's not very good. I just don't think it's very good. Then he wants to say Devontae Adams' travel plans are made up by the media. Everything's made up by the media, but where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's smoke, there is fire. Mark Lewis is in the chat. He says, JJ tore up your first string secondary. What are you even talking about? What are you even talking about? Who is JJ? I'm not for sure who JJ is. You're talking about Justin Jefferson? Like, I'm not for sure who JJ is. And then Ryan's like, not everybody can be a Jeff Hostetler. True. But, guys, I got to ask the question. Are the Raiders a playoff team? Are the Raiders a playoff team? That's the question of the day. And me reaching out a wall, throwing spaghetti, trying to get something to stick. Adding the Steelers on there, Jim, it's still only 9. Chargers twice, Panthers, Broncos twice, Chiefs, Jaguars, Falcons, and Steelers. That's only 9. J.J. McCarthy tore them up last year. Huh. Are you talking about last preseason game? Because J.J. McCarthy hasn't played for like 2 weeks. And, I mean, I guess if you want to call tearing up secondary players, congratulations. Mark, I see you're a Chiefs fan. I'm a Chiefs guy too, but come on, man. Real's got to recognize real here, and J.J. McCarthy is kind of going to be the real deal at some point. But just not right now because he is out for the remainder of the season. But, guys, it is Overreaction Tuesday here. An Overreaction Tuesday is pretty simple. We put out statements out there, and we got to decide, is it an overreaction or is it an underreaction? Is it an overreaction like, nah, you guys need to slow it down, let it play out, or if it's an underreaction like, hey, maybe, just maybe, y'all might be on something here. But Overreaction Tuesdays is sponsored by Manscaped. Guys, head over to manscaped.com and use promo code MANHOUR20. Save you guys from 20% off of all of your Manscaped products. So manscaped.com, guys, promo code MANHOUR20, and keep those balls nice and trimmed up. Nice and trimmed up here. But on this beautiful Overreaction Tuesday, we're going to talk about Juju. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts. We're going to talk about Josh Allen as well. And the first one we got to talk about is obviously Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster was cut by the New England Patriots just last week, and before he even could get his pads off, he still had the KC logo on his old pads. Bada bing, bada boom. You're like, don't change your logo. Just come on over to Kansas City. We'll get you on that roster. Since then, the Kansas City Chiefs have cut several receivers, including Kadarius Toney as well. So, guys, is it an overreaction or is it an underreaction that Juju Smith-Schuster will lead the Kansas City Chiefs to a three-peat this season? Now, I want to preface this that I think the Kansas City Chiefs are a very, very good team. I want to state, but I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I also want to state that the simple fact that winning a Super Bowl is hard. Winning 2 Super Bowls is even harder. Winning 3 is damn near impossible because it hasn't been done yet. But talk about Juju Smith-Schuster here. Juju did play with the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes back in the 2022 NFL season, winning that Super Bowl with them. In that season, he had 933 yards receiving with 3 tutties that particular season. In the postseason, he had 10 catches for 89 yards with the infamous Bradbury holding, right? Juju Smith-Schuster, a great receiver, basically got Bradbury to hold that call or to get that holding call and basically change the whole outcome of that game. Last season, he was with the Patriots. Ankle injury, had 29 catches for 260 yards with 1 tutty. But like I said, he was cut by the Patriots earlier this week. So, guys, is it an overreaction or an underreaction that Juju Smith-Schuster will lead the Kansas City Chiefs to a three-peat? And not to say slow it down, baby. Slow it down. Just because Juju Smith-Schuster was a part of the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl run a couple years ago. Just because Juju Smith-Schuster used to be the number 1 receiver in Pittsburgh. Just because Juju Smith-Schuster used to be this guy does not mean we are getting that guy from even 2 years ago. We are not getting that guy from 3 years ago. Hell, we're not even probably getting that guy from last season. Even though Tooney was just cut by the Kansas City Chiefs, guys, the Juju Smith-Schuster will still be a number 6 or number 7 receiver at best on the Kansas City Chiefs depth chart. Even when Rashid Rice gets suspended for his 4 or 5 games with the whole Dallas drunk driving, speeding, whatever you want to call it thing incident, Juju may not even see the field. Juju is going to be a special team player at best for the Kansas City Chiefs. He would never be the main target. He would never be a number 1, number 2, number 3, hell, even a number 4 receiver on the field, right? Because when you look at the Kansas City's receiver core, even if Rashid Rice is out for 4, 5, 6, 7, 12, 13 games, whatever it is, you still have Hollywood Brown. You still have Xavier Worthy. You still have Justin Watson. You still have Sky Moore. And, oh, by the way, there's a guy by the name of Travis Kelce on that roster as well. Guys, Juju is nothing more than just a practice body. Let's just be honest. He is nothing more than a practice body, and it gave the Kansas City Chiefs a reason to cut Toney. That was it. They brought back Juju just because to give him a little leeway, but like, hey, Tony, you're not living up to Juju standards, so maybe Toney might go to some place like the Patriots and find some work and have success. I hope he does. He had a great punt return for us. But Juju is nothing more than a practice body, nothing more than a player that just to get some reps. And what if Rashid Rice is out for the season? What if Hollywood Brown isn't ready by week 1? What if Xavier Worthy doesn't live up to the hype? Even then, you still got Sky Moore, Justin Watson, Travis Kelce, Justin Ross. Juju's far and far between, guys. So is it overreaction or an underreaction that Juju will help lead the Kansas City Chiefs to the three-peat Super Bowl champions? And Jim says, way the fuck overreaction. It's not even an overreaction. It's a way to F overreaction. Jim's like, you know what, man? Hold my beer. Juju, you got cut by the Patriots, my man. You couldn't even survive on the worst receiving roster in the NFL. You got cut by them. And Jim says, plus Kelce won't be there all season long either. He will get pregnant. Even if Travis Kelce gets pregnant, Jim, even if he gets pregnant, there's another tight end. There's another tight end by the name of Noah Gray. Noah Gray is up and coming. I'm just saying. Toney had to go had to go. Juju is going to be a distraction for the opposition when he hits the field. Why would Juju be a distraction when he hits the opposing field? I'm confused by that statement, Mark. WB Ants in the chat. What's up, Ant? He says, definitely an overreaction. He isn't even the best receiver on the team. He's not even the number 2 receiver on the team. Or 3, or 4, or 5. He's like the 7th best receiver on that team. Let's just be honest. And Mark says he won't lead the team, but he'll be a key piece for certain plays. Yeah, certain plays as in like punt return or kickoff return or getting Travis Kelce some water. And Ryan's like, oh, I've heard of that Travis Kelce guy. He's pretty good, isn't he? That Travis Kelce guy is pretty good. Let's not get it twisted. And Ryan says, it is fair to say that Juju knows the KC system. He does know the KC system. He spent 1 year in it. But that was Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator, right? Matt Nagy came in last season, so technically it's kind of a new system. Air quotes there, right? It's still the Andy Reid system. It's still Patrick Mahomes' system. But the new offensive coordinator might not quite might try over jiving with Juju here, right? And Ryan says it's an overreaction. I agree. I think it's an overreaction. And breaking news in from Mark Lewis says that Justin Ross was just released by the Kansas City Chiefs. That is kind of surprising. I thought Justin Ross was going to kind of be like the fan favorite, right? I guess they decided to keep McCole Hardman. So McCole Hardman was a good piece for that 2022 championship as well. So yes, Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator as well. And ask the questions, when is Hollywood Brown supposed to be back? I've heard he is supposed to be back by week 1. But then again, they're not, quote, rushing him back because this is a shoulder injury that sidelined Tyreek Hill for 3 or 4 games last season, right? He should have had surgery on it. So Hollywood Brown, I haven't heard too much besides that he is not going on the PUP list, so he could be ready by week 1. But safe to say, week 1 is now, 9 days away. We haven't seen him in 2 games. We haven't seen him for a full month here. So I would safely say that he should be back by week 1. But 17-game season, right? 17-game season. And James wants to come with some facts here. Jason was the better player and the most athletic Kelce. I don't know. I saw them live doing their New Heights podcast in Cincinnati last year. They were doing some type of fundraiser for the Cincinnati Bearcats athletic thing, and they were doing the events like jumping over stuff and whatnot. Travis Kelce is pretty athletic. Jason Kelce is very athletic as well, but Travis might be a wee bit better. So we think it's an overreaction that the Juju is a big piece for the Kansas City Chiefs moving on this season. But we've heard about teams being all in this season. We've heard about teams making big splashes to boost that Super Bowl push. We've heard about teams being, quote, all in. The Buffalo Bills are all Josh Allen. But the real question is, guys, is it an overreaction or underreaction? Are the Buffalo Bills a playoff team? When we broke down the Buffalo Bills earlier this season, I had them about a 9-win team. I had them second place in the AFC East behind the Miami Dolphins. Some of the biggest question marks for me was the receiver core. The receiving core has not sold me on them at all yet this preseason. Do we have a long season ahead of us? So before we start talking about the future, let's talk a little bit about the past. Like, obviously, this offseason, the Buffalo Bills moved on from Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, traded them both away to respective teams. They also drafted Keon Coleman to help fill that gap that Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs left. Also, when you look at when you look at the Buffalo Bills roster, they do have a nice 1-2 punch at tight end as well, with Dawson Knox had kind of a coming out party last season. Most of the secondary has been replaced as well. as far as receiving core for the Buffalo Bills. But they still have Ed Oliver. They still have Espina. And then Von Miller should finally be back 100%. Is it an overreaction or underreaction, guys? Are the Buffalo Bills a playoff team in 2024? The biggest X factor for the Buffalo Bills in the last 5-6 years, right, has been Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been the engine behind the Buffalo Bills the last 4, 5, 6 seasons. Since his rookie year in the NFL, he has a record of 63-31 career NFL record. He is 5-5 in the playoffs, but 0-3 versus Patrick Mahomes. Also, put this up for your stat as well. Josh Allen is 23-11 versus the AFC East. He was 5-1 in 2001, 4-2 in 2002, and 4-2 in 2023. Overreaction, guys, or underreaction that the Buffalo Bills are a playoff team? At first, I had them know they are not a playoff team. When we first broke it down, I'm like, I don't trust the receiving core. But looking at these Josh Allen regular season stats versus AFC East teams, last 3 seasons, 4-2, 4-2, 5-1. Josh Allen just does not lose to the AFC East teams. And you can be an 8-win team, but if you beat everybody and you win your division, you go 6-0 in your division, you can get into the playoffs. Playoffs. At first, I'm like, no, this is an underreaction. No, the Buffalo Bills are not a playoff team. But the more I look into it, the more I dig deeper into this receiving core, Josh Allen is going to make something out of nothing. Josh Allen is a very, very intricate part of the Buffalo Bills. Let's just be flat honest. I understand he doesn't have any of the MVPs. I understand he doesn't have the AFC Championship game appearances. I understand he has a 500 playoff record. But he makes people around him better. I still think James Cook is still running for touchdowns versus the Dallas Cowboys from last season. Yep, there he goes. Untouched. Because the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen is that big of a factor. The Cowboys are so worried about Josh Allen. There goes James Cook. Once you start worrying about James Cook and putting 8 guys in the box, dump off to Knox. Dump off to Kincaid, right? Coleman's going to probably have a sneaky, really good season. So are the Buffalo Bills a playoff team? It's not an overreaction, guys. I think they could potentially be a playoff team. I think they are a playoff team. I think they won the East now. I'm going to renege on my predictions. I'm going to put new predictions out there now that preseason is officially over. And I think the Buffalo Bills win the East again. Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. Sean McDermott being on the hot seat. Josh Allen kind of in a must win now situation. Everything has changed except for Josh Allen. New defense, new offensive coordinator, new right receiving core. Josh Allen, if you don't win now, you are the piece that is the problem. And I don't think he's the problem. It's an underreaction. Jim says underreaction as well. Allen will be practicing his putting between tutties. Casey says Josh missed his window, in his opinion. See, and I don't think the Buffalo Bills really ever had a window, to be honest. Yes, Stephon Diggs, when he first came in, was a great piece for Josh Allen, right? But I don't think the Buffalo Bills really had that window open, right? They had some good teams. They had some good regular season runs. But if anything, if this receiving core is any built hype of what they're trying to make them as, I think the window is just now starting to open for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, to be honest. I think the window is just now opening. WB Ant says that it's an underreaction because they're all capable of making the playoffs. Josh Allen's a top 5 quarterback in the league. He goes where they go. He's going to have to do more, though. I agree. Jim says Allen is a car of that the division, all the potential, but to the point is he hasn't been realized. This is probably the truest thing, Jim, that you have said all day long. This is probably the realest thing you have said all day long. Derek Carr and Josh Allen are the same person. They are the same person. Casey says the Bills keep the yearly tradition of being eliminated by the Chiefs in the playoffs alive. 0-4. Meaning, like, how would you feel? I mean, this is the Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning thing all over again, right? Year after year after year, Tom Brady would beat Peyton Manning out of the playoffs. Poof, see ya. Poof, see ya. Poof, see ya. And finally, Tom Brady had like a bad game, and the Patriots kind of shit the bed, and the Colts finally got that one win. Finally went to the Super Bowl and finally won. And then like the big relief has been like, oh, thank God. Like, I would hate to be Josh Allen, to be honest, losing to the Kansas City. Well, he's 0-3 versus Patrick Mahomes and the playoffs. If you take away that 0-3 record, he would be 5-2 in the playoffs. And says, I got the Jets winning the East if Rodgers can stay healthy. And there has been a verb that has been created. There has been a verb that has been created across the landscape against sports media, against Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And you said, I am jetting. I actually used that in my film study yesterday. We had a kid that Mark Chanchez himself. If you know, you know, right? We're up like 42-0. The kid, we picked up a fumble like at the 5, and we recovered it. We put in the backup quarterback, backup center, because we're just blowing them out. The ball fumbles the snap. The guy picks it up and runs forward, and Mark Sanchez is him like himself. The Jets are going to jet, Ant. The Jets are going to find a way to somehow go 7-10 yet again. The Jets, the only thing consistently about the Jets is they're consistently bad. They're consistently 7-10. And they're consistent of being consistent. The Jets are going to jet. That's what it comes down to. And yes, I saw the stat where every time a defense that Aaron Rodgers has played with that has allowed that hasn't allowed over 20 points, he's 52-2 or something like that as a career record. And the last time he had a top 5 offense, he won the Super Bowl. A top 5 defense, he won the Super Bowl. So if the Jets can put up good defensive numbers, keep people under 20 points, then potentially, I just don't see it. I'm kind of like with a lot of people out there saying, Jets, stop talking about it and do it. Be about it finally. Sheesh. Jim says, this will be the season for the Buffalo to prove us all right about Diggs being the C word. Do you guys think Stephon Diggs is a cancer? I mean, he wanted out of Minnesota. The Minnesota Vikings did win a playoff game the following year, right? He goes to Buffalo, consistently eliminated, never go to the AFC Championship game. If he goes from Buffalo to Houston, Buffalo Bills all of a sudden go to the AFC Championship, potentially go to a Super Bowl like Ant thinks, and the Houston Texans miss the playoffs. I think you got to kind of talk about it, right? Kind of got to start to talk about him being the C word. Casey says he's a diva in preseason. He was already yelling at the new QB, as in Stephon Diggs. See, I saw the picture of it. I did not see the video. So if you guys got the video, slide it to me in the DMs, slide it into my inbox, tag me on Facebook, whatever you got to do. I would like to see the video because the picture that I saw looked like they're just having a conversation. A normal preseason, getting to know routes, getting to know your quarterback conversation. Meaning, like, if the safety's going to come up like just like that, I'm going to hit him with the 1-2 step and like go up and over. You know, like that's what I saw. Now, if the video shows something different, tag me in it, please. Let me see it, because I just saw the still frame of Diggs, like obviously animatedly talking, and Diggs and was it Tank Dell? They're all kind of just like, yeah, like kind of look dumbfounded almost. I don't know. It is what it is. I do have a couple overreactions left, guys, here, but we're just going to ask them. We're not going to talk about them. I got to get the kids off the bus. The next overreaction was Jalen Hurts. Does Jalen Hurts have the most to prove in 2024? I talked about Jalen Hurts earlier this offseason. I thought he was a top 10 quarterback. He was consistently improving year after year after year. Obviously, last year was the epic collapse. Now, news is starting to come about Jalen Hurts, how he can't read defenses. He can't do this. He can't do that. Jason Kelce was doing everything. So is it an overreaction or underreaction that Jalen Hurts has to have a prove-it season? He has the most to prove in 2024. And I don't think that's an overreaction. Matter of fact, I think that's an underreaction. I think he has a lot to prove this season. I think Jalen Hurts needs to come out and win the NFC East. Jalen Hurts needs to come out and go to the NFC Championship game to really put his name back on the map. He was full speed ahead to the Hall of Fame, and then last season derailed everything. And this news starting to come out about him. Bad news. And then the last over-under reaction of the day, guys, was Aaron Rodgers. Does Aaron Rodgers have to win a Super Bowl this season? Does he have to win the Super Bowl this season? And we were just talking about the Jets, about how they're going to win the East. Does Aaron Rodgers have to win a Super Bowl? Overreaction, underreaction? Let's look about some of the past about Aaron Rodgers here. His last playoff win was 2021 in the divisional round versus the LA Rams. His last Super Bowl was 2011 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, by the way, that was his only Super Bowl. Since then, he has lost four NFC Championship games. He's 12-10 and the playoffs. And I also have the Jets are a Super Bowl mine or bust type of team right here. I think Aaron Rodgers and the Jets have to win a Super Bowl this season, or I think Aaron Rodgers is gone, to be honest. If Aaron Rodgers and the Jets at least do not go to the Super Bowl, there's going to be a major shakeup. There's no excuse anymore. Ant has them winning the East. Everybody else has them going to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl yet again, if healthy. The health word is no longer a valid scapegoat. Health word is not a valid scapegoat. Sorry. It is what it is. But guys, that is it for today's show. Overreaction Tuesday here on August 27th, 2024. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the share button as well, guys. Sharing is caring at the end of the day. We'll be back on tomorrow. We got Buy or Sell Wednesday coming up. Buy or Sell Wednesday tomorrow, 2:30 East Coast time right here at Facebook.com and, of course, YouTube.com. If you missed any part of the show whatsoever, guys, check it out on Spotify and, of course, iTunes as well. Man Hour After Dark is coming back next Saturday with Beastie Combs and Hoffy. If you guys are interested in just some bullshit NFL talk right before game day, Man Hour After Dark is the way to go. Until then, see you tomorrow. I'm out.